Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Dreams Unlimited Travel Podcast. My name is John Magi, and I'll be your host. And in this episode, we're going to talk about Walt Disney World Resort renovations, how they might affect you, how they might affect me. I don't know where I'm going with that. I'm joined at the table by our panel of experts, Client Services Manager for Dreams Unlimited Travel, Kevin Close.
Hi, everyone.
Agent Consultant for Dreams Unlimited Travel, Tracy Heinrichs.
Hi, everyone.
And back in our production facility, we have our producer, Craig Williams.
Hello.
Thank you guys for being here. There's been a lot going on at Walt Disney World, for sure. New rides, new hotels, additions to hotels, a whole bunch of stuff going on. And we're going to focus a lot on resort renovations specifically, because these might affect your vacation going forward. But what I think is great is that they're always improving.
Right.
There's always room for improvement and making things better, hopefully. We hope that the things that they do make it better, but always keeping it fresh and new for us. So let's talk about some of the renovations. What have you got on your list, Tracy?
First of all, I want to talk about some of the big projects that have kind of wrapped up. So the Caribbean Beach. Remember the time I stayed there and they gave me provisions?
I do. It's one of my favorite episodes.
So they're I think they're wrapping it all up there. They had 3 major construction projects going on. Those were not renovations. Those were construction projects. Right. Between the Skyliner, they had redone the resort, knocked down buildings. They also were doing the Riviera, the construction going on in Riviera. So I think now that Riviera is set to open in December of this year, 19, I think they're finally kind of all wrapped up there. They had redone, most of the rooms had been redone just a few years ago when they went to Queen Beds. I will say the pirate rooms there, they've done nothing to those. They're still the crappiest rooms at the resort. They're double beds, hard beds, shaped. They look cute.
They're banking on the theming.
Right, but these are rooms in the farthest part of the resort. So those are still the same old pirate rooms. But other than that, I think finally we can say the Caribbean Beach is back. And most people I think most of the reviews are positive. Most people like what they've done. They've moved, the main building, the Centrum area is all moved. And I think the resort seems more, cohesive to me now. So it's done.
So are these rooms now the way the rooms are going to be in going forward with the hardwood quote?
I know. I don't think they didn't do that renovation at this resort yet. Okay. They're still just. This had the last one where it had gone to queen beds from doubles. So I don't think they've done all of the hardwood floors and everything like that there yet. I feel like they wanted to give the resort and its fans a break.
Give it a little rest before we move on.
Coronado Springs, another one, multiple projects going on throughout the last year. They did get the full room renos. We had talked about that on one of the shows, I think. Mm-hmm. So far, out of all the different resorts and the new rooms I've been in, that one's my favorite. I really like what they've done there. It's usable space. I think it's because I work in the room so much, and it's a convention hotel. I really like what they did to the rooms over there. So their rooms are done. The Grand Destino Tower, is open now. So that project is all finished. So Coronado too, back in business.
Coronado is one of those ones now you go to and there's no walls up, and there's no backing up of, earth mover vehicles. Boop, boop. It seems like it's finally done.
There's and it's the same with the Caribbean Beach. It's like there's a
Caribbean Beach though, because
there's
of
still
Riviera,
a little bit going on over there.
Yeah, it's a little dusty over there.
But Coronado is just like,
Yeah, Coronado, it really is at this point now hard to believe that it just went through 2.5 years of pure nonsense, and you wouldn't even know that now. It is just it is such an inviting place now, and so it slowly turned into one of my favorite resorts on property. Over the past couple of years, I used to not like it at all, and now it's one that I recommend very, very highly. So because price ranges still look good, and then on top of that too, it's just with Grand Destino Tower being added, it's a wonderful place.
Yeah, I think they've done a great job over there. We also, recently been redone rooms. I'm talking here more kind of soft good type things, maybe a little bit of hard good stuff. Soft good, hard good is we're talking the difference between doing like mattresses and and maybe flooring
bedding,
and things like that, as opposed to new furniture and knocking down walls. But recently redone, Oakey West has had a makeover. The French Quarter, Yacht and Beach Club rooms have been redone. Pop has been a while back, but it has the new room that they're going to go to. They're all the value resorts. So, these have all been done. So if you're looking for one of those, a room that's been recently renovated, there's a lot happening, or that has happened. Talking about the values, All-Star Movies, also getting the new, I call it the Pop upgrade because it's kind of making the rooms more like the new Pop Century rooms. They're almost done over at the movies. I think they have 1 or 2 buildings that are still in progress, but I would imagine they'll be done soon. After that, I think it's music they're going to, and then sports, if I'm not mistaken. This project's been delayed a couple times from what I hear, so I think we're going to be looking into 2021 before the other 2 resorts are all complete as well.
Imagine they have to deal with a lot more with availability because such a popular resort. People always fill, so
especially with groups, sports teams, and things like that. And they're trying to go section by section with the least amount of guest impact. So these things are still going to be ongoing. Keep in mind that when it's room renovations like this is typically like a 9 to 5-ish kind of work day. You're not going to hear noise at 5 a.m.
Right.
They're not going to be hammering into the night. This is not that kind of renovation. I'm trying to think, just looking at my notes. Riverside is in the middle of a room renovations as well. The Alligator Bayou, that whole section I think is now complete. They've moved on to the mansions. This one's had a couple delays too. I really think it's going to be more into late 2021 before we see all of that done, but we'll see. I might be off on that, but I think it's going to be a while.
But it feels like they're really going to push this to get it done for the 50th.
Yes.
They're going to want as many resort rooms online as possible, but they also know that they're going to have a ton of press here. They'll be staying in all of these resorts, and if something is not great, they're going to really be pushing it. So I'm sure by the 50th we're looking at completion.
Animal Kingdom Lodge has just been... The rooms have just been redone over there. I think there's a small section left. I think it might be fall, a little bit longer before we see them all done. And then I believe they're moving into some of the DVC. I heard they're starting with the value villas. I'm not sure exactly what they're doing after that, but...
Yeah, the thing I like about Animal Kingdoms is with all of these renovations and stuff, a lot of complaints, especially with the Pop Century All-Star look, is that they've stripped everything unique out of these rooms, made them just the bland hardwood floors, and the only real decoration you get is one painting over the bed and then on the pull down bed, and that's it. But Animal Kingdom still has this unique sense of Lion King in Africa, and it actually maintained it. Like it did better than even Wilderness Lodge fared, which it didn't fare that bad, but it's like a lot of the criticism has been going towards the values that they're really stripping them down.
And I know I'm in the minority, but I like them.
Yeah.
I prefer it. I want my room to be functional. I want my room to be comfortable. I come back there at the end of a long day at Disney, to rest. I don't need it to be immersive. I don't need it to be themed.
Mickey Mouse over your bed.
Right. It's much more important. The fact that I can charge in multiple different places around the room. I like having the hardwood floor instead of the car. There's things I like about it. I know not everybody agrees, but in my opinion, it's changes for the better.
I know this isn't World, but one of the places I think they've done a good job of straddling that line is the Grand Californian. We had a chance to stay in the new rooms there, and while it's the laminate or the hardwood floor and a little bit brighter and cleaner, they've left the things like the border and the headboard of the bed and the light fixtures and all these things sort of keeping the theming of it.
Right.
But if you go to like Grand Destino is, if you go in a room, is almost nothing that is Disney. You have to really be able to pick out the Disney elements, and I think that's a beautiful room.
Especially when you think about what that resort is for. That resort is really a convention hotel. And I'm sure a lot of their clientele appreciates that. But I love what they did over there in Coronado, and there's a very little Disney in it. There's also something going on over at Saratoga. Now, I'm hearing talk of a total hard goods, outside buildings, replacing furniture. It's starting soon. It's going to take 2 years, but I'm finding a hard time finding a lot of details about it. So I don't know if it's something that's been delayed or they haven't made any major announcements yet, but I kept hearing as I was doing some research to see if I was missing anybody, it kept popping up. So it'll be interesting to see if there's any formal announcement about Saratoga soon. That's kind of the resorts for the most part. There's some pool renovations coming up, and they've given us a really big notice on some of these. Like, so the Hippy Dippy Pool at Pot from January of 20 to early spring of 20 is going to be closed, but you can use the other pools at the resort. Everybody will have different feels about this. I don't think this is something worth changing resort for. I think you've got the other pools at the resort. It is January, where I think pool use is already down a little bit, except for the Canadians that come to visit. We don't care. If we have to chisel the ice, we're getting in.
But Pop has a lot of pools, doesn't it?
Yeah, it has multiple. So I don't think the main pool down is going to be, and of course it might be for some, but I don't think that's a big, I'm going to change my resort for.
The pool in the 90s section is that big. I mean, it's boring, but it's also massive, right outside the calculators.
Yeah, and the 50s has a big pool over there too. And then All Star Music, the Calypso Pool, their main pool is going to be. Now listen to these dates: mid-September of 20 to December of 20. This is how far they're telling us, and they've been telling us this for a while now. So interesting that they're letting it known that far in advance.
Which hotel was that? Sorry,
All Star Music. Yeah.
What you might be seeing though is that people show up and go, "How come I didn't know about this?" So now they're saying, "Listen, let's get it out as far as we can." Yeah. So that we can,
and of course, the fear is that you're getting it out this far. That these dates are going to change a little bit, and I think that's why they're pretty vague.
Well, I mean, September you still need it. I mean, it's
hot.
Yeah, it's everyone says, "Oh, you don't want to come to Florida in July, August," and I'm kind of at the
September,
point where I'm like,
October,
actually,
beginning of November.
Yeah, July through. In my opinion, it's actually August through. Right at the end of October is when it finally starts getting to be okay. But
yeah, Art of Animation, their big pool is also having a renovation around that same time, late in 20. Same thing, Art of Animation, All Star Music, they all have other pools, right? So it's not like the only resort pool is going to be down. So I don't think it's that worrisome. And again, the work would be happening during the day, so it's not going to interfere.
I think that's more about guest impact of people who want to use the pools. And then, like you said, again, it feels to me like, let's make sure we're getting this information out. We don't want any complaints. We don't want people saying, I didn't know about it.
Also, the Art of Animation, the lobby, they've been working on replacing the floor over there for a while. They're kind of doing it in sections to not impact the area. I think they're just about done with that.
That seems weird to me. Isn't that hotel like brand new?
I think they had some problems with the tiles or something. There was something about them looking like old bathroom tiles because of the way they got dirty or something. I don't know. So I think it was more aesthetics over there that they had to do something about it. So I don't think, and Craig, remind me if I'm missing something, but I don't think there's a resort right now where I would say you need to avoid that. Because of construction or projects?
No, not because of constructions or projects. I'd say you should avoid Grand Floridian, but that's just because I don't like the stuffiness of that resort. It's not for me.
I gotta tell you, there's a couple times now where Grand Floridians come up. They're having trouble with occupancy at that resort.
There's been times recently where I've not been able to get discounts for people at Contemporary or Polynesian, but got a deep discount at Grand Floridian.
And what I mean by occupancy is that they can't fill the resort.
Yes, exactly.
That's what I meant.
Well, I guess the one thing, even though it doesn't impact it that much, but it's you never know with nature or anything, but Reflections is being built over at Fort Wilderness, but where the cabins are, the construction is so far away from that it's not
any reports.
Not a huge
has anybody said anything I've heard from my room or anything like that?
I haven't seen any.
No, I haven't seen anything at all.
I've had guests recently staying, and I haven't heard anything. So, and then you start to talk about the resorts that are still coming. We've got the Star Wars resorts, which we get a lot of questions about. Resort, not plural. They're talking a little bit about the 2-night. It's going to be a 2-night experience. You all heard it here first.
I said every time we talk about it, I say Tracy called it.
Yep.
She's the one who did it.
Called it. And I feel like they weren't going to do it, but then decided to because it was such a good idea.
They heard you and said.
Right.
You can see it being built from the highway.
The way we come
to property. It is tiny.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I think it's going to be a very... the word that comes to mind, and I know it won't be because it's Disney, is boutique-y.
Yeah, they keep saying boutique because of the limited number of rooms. But it's, I got to tell you, and people are all over the place on this.
Yeah.
It sounds terrible. It's the worst thing I ever heard. I can't believe they're doing it. Oh, it sounds great. I can't wait.
It's people. Why would I only want to stay for 2 nights? This is not a hotel stay.
It's an add-on.
This is not where you come and spend your week at Disney because you're going to go to Magic Kingdom tomorrow and blah. This is an add-on, like Craig said, to what you're already doing in your Disney vacation. This is going to be a 2-night, very specific thing. You're not leaving this environment to go to the Magic Kingdom tonight for fireworks. This is going to be somewhere where...
Oh my God, it sounds like torture.
And they're saying that your park experience is going to be Batu.
Yeah.
That's where you're going to be able to go into the park. And so you're not going to go and, like you said, pop over to the Magic Kingdom for fireworks one night.
Right.
So it's going to be interesting to see. And I got to tell you, I've said this on the other show, there's going to be no windows because of where it's located. It's the worst location in the world.
Yeah.
It backs up to 2 different highways and an
I
off
feel like the
ramp.
windows are going to be some kind of a scene
That's
similar
what
to
I
what they
think.
do on the ships in the interior rooms. And
I mean, 'cause,
virtual.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it starts with the Galactic Star Cruiser. It starts with you showing up at the entrance of the building. You board on your ship to get up to the Galactic Star Cruiser. So after you're out of that first check-in experience, you're gone again, and everything is encapsulated. The closest you get to looking at the outside world is at Batu, when you can obviously see into Toy Story Land, and you can see into the
Or when you have to
courtyard
smoke.
area. Yeah, or that's the problems alongside it all. So yeah.
Have we heard that are these going to be like experiences where everybody who's arriving that day checks in?
that's my understanding.
You think it's
that
gonna
these
be-
are 2-night stays, and they start and end. So like you're not coming in on the second day.
So let's say there's a 100-person capacity of this hotel. Let's say there's 50 rooms or whatever it's going to say it is. So we think 100 people. You all have to be there and board, quote unquote, and then participate.
And you might there might be different levels of boarding, or you're boarding as you arrive, and you're all going to the. I sound like I have no idea what I'm talking about as far as
But this is what it sounds like
terminology.
it's gonna
But that's
happen.
exactly what it sounds like to me. That everybody's experiencing the same thing from the time they check in to the time they check out, and so every 2 days, it'll be a new group coming in for the new experience. That's how it sounds to me.
Well, I mean, it's I think it is really like a cruise ship in that way, in that, you don't have to show up all at the same time. You can show up, but that will be the
But
one
by
problem.
like 4:00 on day 1,
You have
it's
to be
game
there,
on.
right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure they'll have a little wiggle room, like if your flight was canceled or delayed or something. But besides that, because you are going along with a story here, so the staff who's there will get to know you like they do on a cruise. And
You think there's going to be like communal eating, and there's going to be times where you all have to sit down and eat?
I think so. I think there's going to be
more and more
dining
fun
times.
as we talk about it, doesn't it? I'm being sarcastic.
Kevin's face looks like we're talking about The Purge.
I want to do it. I want to see it. I want to try it. But it sounds like the more and more we talk about it, it sounds less and less like I would like to vacation.
It's more and more like Dungeons and Dragons. I'm sorry.
it's a very specific audience.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, the one thing you have to squash with it is that, like, Pete kind of dismissed it the one time talking about it. I don't want to put on a robe. There's not this illusion that you're in this world, that you're a Jedi. You are boarding a spaceship. And I know it sounds stupid, so you can still criticize it in ways, but you're boarding a spaceship as a human on Earth, going to this thing. So you don't have to dress up in the role.
Right.
It's just you get a chance to live this Star Wars stuff as who you are. You don't have to go all out in it.
That doesn't bother me. I think that's fun. I'm sort of fearing this sort of structured thing that they're going to do.
But if you don't want to play shuffleboard on the Star Cruiser,
Right. Or if you don't want to learn the ways of the Force, and you don't want to learn how to pilot the ship, which are two things they've said.
Maybe their question then is, why are you here? Why did you pay all this money if you don't want to learn that?
Kind of like with Batu, I just want to go around and look at stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I don't
well, I go
necessarily...
on a cruise and don't want to join the belly flop
Yeah,
contest.
that's kind of the way I look at it. Is like, I mean, there are times where you could be the person who eats at every meal, but we prefer not to do that. And
I think they'll allow for that. I think because like I'm interested in the fact that you're in your room, you really have this view looking out into space, and they're going to have the bar cantina type place in there too. That like those are places that I'd want to sit and hang out at the entire day. But I don't want to go into the control room and pilot the ship. It might be a fun game and activity, but that doesn't mean I want to do that.
Maybe it's going to be kind of like an ABD adventure, right? So you've got your planned itinerary. This is what's happening, but there's a room for you to step out of it.
Yeah.
Where there's room for if I don't want to make pasta, or if I'm not getting on that bike and putting on that filthy helmet and driving around your lake. Maybe there's room for things like that.
Yeah.
Wow, there's a lot packed up in that little statement, wasn't it?
Really?
But I'm wondering though if it's that, like, this is the itinerary, this is what's happening, but there's room to, because there's no way they can insist that.
I thought they were going to make you dress up.
No,
Like you
I
were
don't think
assigned
so.
a role.
you're assigned a role, but you're not dressed up.
Not that you're assigned a role.
So they're going to let people wander around in Crocs and a Hawaiian shirt?
You are there from Earth going up to this. You choose an allegiance who you have to side with, the First Order or Resistance, but that's about it.
It's like when you go to a Downton Abbey movie, you have to decide if you're with the
Are you with upstairs or downstairs?
yeah, if you're with the housekeeping.
Nope, you're allowed to play with both of them. And I've explained this repeatedly. I love Downton Abbey. Love it. I have no desire to be a maid. I have no desire to check in and pretend I'm part of the family. I can enjoy it.
You're
from
one of those
afar.
wishy-washy fans.
No,
Then.
I'm not. I was there very early. I went opening night. But I have no desire to partake in it. I don't want to dress up and pretend I'm Lord Grantham.
Nor do I, and neither of us are the target audience. They're not looking.
Well, it seems like the target audience isn't as big as they thought it was.
I think it will. I think this is a fandom that is beyond anything that is Disney. Like, we think of Disney fans. I think this is a different level. I think you're going to have people come and experience this who will never see any other part of Disney.
Also, I'm going to throw something else out there, too. You just heard that Kevin Feige, whatever his name is, Feige, is going to be doing the next Star Wars movie. Not Rise of Skywalker, but starting the next quote-unquote series of movies. So now those things that are going to be coming up in those movies, you're going to see those at Disney, because the Disney Star Wars time frame is current of what's going on. So I think that's going to be, you are just totally glazed over, aren't you? So I think that's going to bring
I'm actually sitting here counting my teeth.
I think that's going to bring a different element to it.
Yeah.
In that people were upset with, Galaxy's Edge not having certain characters in it. Well, now there's new characters to be developed. They're going to be part of this whole
You
experience.
think that's going to make it crowded?
I do. I think it's going to get crowded when that new ride opens.
Oh, yeah. No, as
think
soon as
that's-
Resistance opens,
Yeah.
it's going to be it's going to get a lot busier, because it's finally bringing in something that is familiar. It might not be, a lot of people don't love the new Star Wars movies, the old fans, but the people who are going out to see it that love it, they are excited to see these characters in this type of ride that's going to get a lot of praise the same way that Flight of Passage did.
Well, let's also say that too. The thing is this: we don't know how this hotel is going to play out yet. It could be the coolest thing we've ever seen,
Right.
even if we don't like Star Wars.
And I think that's my thing. I think I keep giving Disney the benefit of the doubt on that, because there's been so many things where I've been kind of mediocre about, and they just have this way of bringing it. Like, I'll use an example of, oh my God, Pandora. Like that whole, I have not even ever seen that movie, but I think what they've done over there is brilliant and innovative, and I can enjoy it for that.
So do you think they'll allow people to visit this hotel?
No.
No.
So there won't be like a restaurant that I can make a reservation for as someone who's not
You're not going
staying
to be able
there.
to go to the gift shop?
I think the problem is, too, we keep thinking about it as a hotel.
Right.
And I think it's going to be something different than a hotel. So I think just us always calling it a hotel.
Yep. Well, I mean, Disney's
prison.
not calling it a hotel.
No.
They're calling it an experience.
Right. And I think
So-
calling it a hotel puts expectations around it, and that's where we're having trouble wrapping our head around it.
Do you think there will be space maids?
I assume there will be. I need my room serviced, but it just, the right thing for me is it has to be at the right price point, because like I am the target audience for this, but not for the original numbers that were being thrown out when people thought, oh, this is going to be a deluxe hotel that can get up to however many thousand a night. That's not coming out of my pocket. I will never pay for it. But if it's similar pricing to like what you would get on a cruise for 2 nights or whatever, maybe one day for me.
It's going to be higher than that.
Knowing what I know about you and that you think paying a porter $5 is like losing money, I'm going to guess that this will not be happening on your dime.
Well,
you never know. But what the thing is about the Star Wars fandom is I think there's a lot of money there. If you go, like we went to the convention.
Paying $200 for a flashlight.
Well, that's the problem with Star Wars fandom is the huge Star Wars fans think that a lot of the stuff in Galaxy's Edge is a ripoff, and you can build your own through third-party sites or just by yourself for a much better deal. And they're the ones who are turning against
Well, we're getting into something else, too, because isn't that the experience, too? You're paying for the experience of doing this thing. And
that's why I paid for it.
Right. But what I'm saying is that, I forgot what I was going to say, was that when we went to the Star Wars convention, there's a great deal of money being spent on stuff.
On high end.
High end. I mean, people are buying like vehicles that were Star Wars tricked out.
I picked up a helmet. I have no idea who it was for, but it was a mirrored helmet, and it was $30,000.
Yeah. So I don't think the price point is going to defer people as much as what is the experience going to be.
Way to ruin Chris's Christmas present.
A $30,000 mirrored helmet.
Way to go.
Chris Heinrich's disco ball.
I was shocked too when they were giving us some statistics when we were going to be doing that convention of median incomes and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. We were all expecting something different.
Yes.
From that, we were surprised.
We assumed a certain person would be
I
doing
think
it.
this is going to be something unlike anything that we can wrap our head around. Like, I don't think we can compare it to anything we know right now.
It's like you want it to be really cool and really successful, but then you don't want it to be because you know it's going to be us disappointing our clients.
Yes, exactly.
And sorry, it's sold out until 2025.
Yeah,
you know?
I have an appointment for you. I can get you in 2029.
Yeah, that's what worries me about that.
Yeah, exactly. So the only, we talked resorts coming, Star Wars. Craig had mentioned Reflections earlier. When are we, 2022 or something before that's expected to be open and going? Yep. There's a lot of rumors around new resorts over near Epcot. I've not seen anything concrete. 1 or 2 resorts heading over there. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of those rumors and speculation kind of fizzled out.
Yeah.
Because it was getting to the point where everyone was like, oh, they're breaking ground any second now, and you're going to see
nothing's
towers going up, and then nothing has happened. And so
Right.
I don't necessarily think some of that speculation's dead, but it's definitely, it's not on a timetable of you should expect this for Epcot's 40th anniversary, whatever it's about to, 40, and all of that. I think it's definitely all kind of pushed back a little bit.
We're going to see a huge push for October of 2021.
Yeah,
we will. They're running out of time for a lot of that stuff, though.
I was just asked a question. Do you think this will be a celebration that starts January 1st of 2021, or do you think it's all going to be centered around October 1st?
I think it's going to start tomorrow, and I think it's going to end in 2030. If I know Disney, they're going to get every penny they can get.
I bet you it'll be the majority of the year for 2021 for sure.
It's going to be a 16
or it'll
month.
start fall of 2021 and go into 22.
Yeah, to the end of 2022.
I was going to say it'll start it'll start the Memorial Day weekend of 2021 and then go all through till the end of 2022.
I think they're going to center around the 1st.
Well,
I think there'll be bigger things around the 1st.
I think the way Tracy said it was right. It's going to start on the actual anniversary, and then it's going to wrap around for the following year.
Because they're going to say this is our 50th
year, right?
And celebrate throughout that whole year. Yeah. And then, I think when we're talking about resorts, we have to talk about the Skyliner. I think it's changed a lot of things. Having that transportation option, Caribbean Beach, I think it's really, I'm noticing an increase in interest in those resorts. Art of Animation as well. I think we were expecting big price increases at these, or a different category maybe. We haven't seen that yet, although I do believe...
That's because they're having trouble filling their rooms, right?
No.
Not at those resorts.
No,
I
not
don't
at
think
those
Grand
resorts.
Floridian, they can't fill a resort.
Yeah, but as far as
I thought it was down.
it depends on travel time, but I can tell you the rest of this year, we're having trouble finding availability at anything that's value or moderate. There's months, like there's a period in December and October where there's not a value resort to be found. So I think it's picked up for this fall. But I noticed that pop rooms went up a little bit. Art of Animation seemed to climb quite a bit in the family suites especially. But All-Star Movie or All-Star Resorts this year dropped in price a little bit. And I've not seen that happen before, but when the new prices came out for next year, they were a little bit lower, making that gap a little bit bigger.
Skyliner effect.
Yeah, I think so too.
They should build a line over to the All-Stars.
Well, that's the next rumors that
Is
are
that the
coming
rumor?
up. Is if it is a success and people are using it like they want to use it, then how do you start adding, right now, all-star movies are separated by themselves. Coronado Springs and Gran Destino Tower are off by themselves. How do you start connecting those to
Animal Kingdom Lodge, they should go right over the lions. Yep. That's what I think would be exciting.
Or that part of the safari where it's all the crocodiles and the alligators, whatever it is. Yeah.
Well, that's pretty much any place on Disney property.
That's true. That
Anywhere
is
you see
true.
water, you've got one. Yeah, I think you're going to see the Skyliner effect. You're going to see those hotels gradually creep up. I don't think they could say anything is definite now that people are choosing those, but we see it just in the fact that people are excited for it.
Yes.
Oh, I can't wait to ride it. I can't wait to try it. So we'll see.
Yep.
It's just knowing that there's another transportation form out there that keeps you off Disney buses besides paying for Uber, Lyft, minivan, whatever have you. Because some of those bus rides, especially with like Pop Century and stuff, it can get just as nasty as it does at the All Stars. And so having now this pretty quick, reliable transportation form that can take you to and from places is really nice. And I know there's the concerns about weather and stuff, but it's actually the Skyliner will run until Lightning is within 3 miles of any of the places that it runs in and out of. And because of that, it's more even reliable than the rides and attractions in the parks, that it can run longer than those will. So still safely. So, and they're all ground protected just in case. So they're going to be a game changer for Walt Disney World.
They're doing a great job too with the buses. They're always improving the buses. They're always bringing on new ones. They're doing good stuff. Yeah. However, the other night last night we were on Disney property, and a bus passed us, and there was not an inch of space on that bus.
No, there were people with butts right up against the glass doors, and I thought, that's certainly not safe.
Yeah, standing in that wheel well area, that step area, it was terrible.
So. And what's also happening is those of us who always have rented cars before are rethinking it. And so things like the
parking,
Skyliner and transportation, not just for parking, the cost of the parking was my tipping point. I've rented a car just about every time, and it's not a lot of money at a value resort. I think it's $15, but it was my tipping point. And we find now not renting a car, and even if we Uber and Lyft every single place we go, first of all, it's more convenient. I don't have to look for parking. But I'm not spending as much as I would if I rented a car and paid for parking. And so I think more transportation options like Skyliner, if you're on the monorail, you have the need for a car even less.
So there's an interesting concept, right? We're going to raise the price of parking to discourage people from bringing their own vehicles, but now people are turning to Uber and Lyft. So while it's not taking up a parking space, it still sort of have the same environmental impact and the same space on the road.
But they're deterring people from bringing their own cars or renting cars because they want you to stay on property when you're here.
Right.
So I'm probably leaving property less than I ever did before because I'll Lyft an Uber around property. I'm less likely to do it to go to, an off-site restaurant. But they're winning the battle almost. That was what the whole thing about Magical Express was. Let's get people here, and they're not going anywhere. And so you're selling more dining plans. You're selling more. People just have less access to the outside world once they're here.
Yeah, unless they choose to then say, okay, I'm going to split it up and
Yep.
I'll stay here and I'll be a part of your brainwashing for the first 4
Yep.
days. But
and then I'll go to Universal or
yeah.
I'll go off site. Yeah.
What's the hotel that needs to be renovated? What's the next one on the list that we think, boy, they really need to do something with this hotel?
I made the joke about it. I think Grand
Grand
Floridian.
Floridian.
I haven't stayed in a room since, I guess that would have been Toy Story Land, that press event. So that was 18 for that. And my gosh, it's I always joke about those rooms being like in my grandma's idea of a Victorian palace, but it's really like they don't just show their age because of the style of it. It's just they're worn down.
Yeah.
It's not a great hotel.
I stayed in a honeymoon suite there. I don't know what they call it anymore, but it used to be the honeymoon suite for a special anniversary a year or so ago. And it's doesn't have the charm of being, themed. It's gone to the point of being just dated, and it just needs some refreshing.
We're gonna see something big happen with the Grand Floridian,
I think so, too.
because I think they're having trouble filling those rooms. Again, I've heard this
Yep.
on multiple sources that they're actually gonna panic over why can't we fill this resort.
And you can tell by the level of discounts that they're giving.
Yep, they're trying to get people over there, so you're gonna see something big happen over there.
Yeah, I think so too.
All right. Thank you, Tracy, for doing all of that research. I appreciate it. Thank you, everybody, for participating in the conversation. Thank you all at home for listening and watching. We hope you have a great week, and we hope you have a great vacation.